Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. This is DFW Real Estate Weekly, where we discuss all things DFW real estate related, including your questions. All you got to do is reach out, call or text 214-310-0008 or online at toddtremonteteam.com. How do you feel about school vouchers? How do you feel about your tax dollars going with you? And more importantly, how do you feel about that impact on the housing market, or the housing market impact on that? We're going to get into it. We are not going to have a political showdown, although maybe we could. We are going to talk about what impact that has on the housing market and what impact the housing market has on schools and funding and all the things as we make our way through the show. A lot of tax talk lately. We might get into a little bit of that as well. Lots to cover. Your questions are always welcome. 214-310-0008. Call or text 214-310-0008 or online at toddtremonteteam.com.
First part of the show is I was muted. There
was a lot of banging on the counter earlier, so there was some muting. Back to you, Carl.
First part of the show is, as always, brought to you by Patrick Gleros and his entire team at Cardinal Financial. If you're thinking about getting a mortgage, if you want to talk to somebody about refinancing, maybe getting an investment property, Patrick is a great place to start. You can go to patrickgleros.com. You can fill in an application, begin an application right there on his website, patrickgleros.com, Glaros. 972-728-3420 is his phone number, NMLS number 308804. Or as always, go to toddtremonteteam.com, click on the radio tab, and you can find all of the recommended pros and vendors that we talk about right there. And don't forget, if you want to get on the wait list for the Summer Fun Guide 2024.
Great idea.
Bigger, better than ever before.
Back and better than ever.
Send us a text. Say Summer Fun Guide 214-310-0008, 214-310-0008, or when you go to toddtremonteteam.com, on the very top, there's going to be a blue banner. You can click that banner, and you can get on the wait list right there, too.
Sweet.
Pretty good,
Summer
huh?
Fun Guy's going to be lit.
Making it easy for folks.
So good.
Hey, what's with all the hedge funds that are buying up so many properties right now?
Well, there are a lot of ways to answer that question. The short answer is hedge funds are buying up a lot of properties. There's a lot of debate about what percentage of homes they're buying. The answer is they're buying a lot, and they've been buying a lot for a long time. There was a season there for a while they were buying less. They seem to be buying again. If I were a betting man, I would bet that home values are going to go up. My observation of the marketplace is that home values are going to go up. And my observation is based on what families and individuals are doing on the ground in DFW every day. If you're asking me if I think hedge funds with tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars have a deeper level of analysis than me on the overall economic outlook and the potential returns on investment, I would say yes, they probably do have more analysts and more data and more IQ points pointed at the overall economy and investment returns. And because they have chosen to put significant investments into residential real estate, especially in markets like Dallas-Fort Worth, that would support the opinion that I already had based on my data and research and day-to-day work, which says DFW home values aren't coming down anytime soon, and even if they did, that wouldn't last long. So when I see hedge funds and big institutional investors investing in single-family homes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's my takeaway. They see the same thing I see, that this will be an asset class that is safe, that will appreciate, that will grow, that can generate either lifestyle plus appreciation or rental income plus appreciation. And that's as good as almost any other investment I've seen out there. That's what I take away from the fact that these companies are buying hundreds, and in some markets thousands, and in some markets tens of thousands, and in some markets they're building them and holding them.
What does that mean for like just home buyers though? Like, it's going to make things more difficult, right?
Yes and no. Yes, it's going to make it difficult. B, it's not going to make it difficult. It's already been making it difficult. So this is not new. That this is, in the headlines are not new. They're just recycled. My point in all that is to say big institutional investors have been buying homes in our market for quite a while. Small, mid-size, independent investors have been buying homes in our market since the beginning of time, since the beginning of our market. So this isn't all that new. What's new is the rage and anger about it in the media that this may be something that should be regulated out. Now, people may or may not like what I have to say here, but I don't think we need any regulation here. It's a free country. If somebody wants to buy one house or two houses, they should be able to buy that house. If they want to buy 1,000 houses and they have the money to buy those houses and they can pay what the seller wants for those houses, do you want to live in a culture where those things are all so regulated that that opportunity doesn't exist? I understand what's annoying about it. I understand some of the consequences of it, and I don't like all of those. But that's the world we're in. I think we're going to continue to live in it. If you wanted me to answer more technically, there's more buyers to compete with than just traditional homeowner buyers to compete with. So that's going to drive prices up. That's going to maintain low levels of housing availability, fewer homes to choose from. And in a lot of ways, a lot of the homes that are being built will never make it into the traditional inventory because they're being built to rent. They're being built to hold for these investors. In our market, there's not nearly as much build to rent as there is in some other markets, but it's happening.
Yeah, I think it's just, if I look at it from somebody that's a first-time home buyer's perspective, it's just kind of disheartening, I guess, that how it's continuing to become more and more difficult to quote, get on the housing ladder, right? That was one of the things that always stood out to me moving from England was it's so difficult to buy your first home over in England. Like, It's so expensive, and it's really hard to do for people to begin to build that equity. And that was something that always stood out to me over here was like, it was really doable. Like, so many people could afford to be able to do that. And that was just one of the really cool things that kind of stood out. And it feels like that's going away a little bit.
Well, and you're emphasizing a point that we've made on the show for a while. At the moment, that's where we're headed. You know, we've talked on this show about, 20 years ago, if someone said to you, oh, my friend's moving to New York City, you're like, oh, cool. Are they renting an apartment? If someone said, no, they bought one, you'd be like, whoa, your friend can buy an apartment in New York City? Mm-hmm. Well, Dallas wasn't that way. It was like, whoa, they move into Dallas, you can get a little starter home, get things going. Yeah, sure. That's expected. Like you said, oh man, we moved from New York or California. We love how accessible housing is here. Well, our market, I'm not saying it's caught up. I'm not saying it will ever catch up, but it is catching up with those higher cost markets where being an entry level buyer is more and more difficult. I'm not saying I like that, but I am saying the freedom of the marketplace is allowing for that, is seemingly going to sustain that. I don't think that's going to change, which is why I don't think a lot of people should be waiting to buy if they can buy now. They should buy what they can buy, make the best of that. Waiting for prices to come down or rates to come down, I think for most people, not everyone, I think for most people that's a fool's errand, and that's going to end up being a very costly and expensive thing to say. Now, I did want to bring up a point. Courtney, you might want to comment on this, but Ian was referencing how expensive housing is in England. My guess on Stumped Out a couple weeks ago was that London was the most expensive housing market in the world. I was wrong about that, but can you imagine being a first-time homebuyer in Monaco?
No. Like, what even are my options?
I mean, so I've actually got family that lives in Monaco. So my
is this a flex?
My cousin lives in Monaco.
It is a flex, but he's got really funny stories.
I have a lot of funny stories. Her boyfriend is a yacht broker, of course, in Monaco.
Why wouldn't you?
But like, I've heard like how expensive it is to live there. Like, I was talking to my aunt and uncle there a couple of weeks ago visiting, and it's like we just went out for drinks. Like we split a bottle of wine, and we had one cocktail. Like, one other person had a cocktail, and it was almost $200. Like, that's their like standard bottom line stuff. It's like, go out for a meal and it's gonna be $500 for four people. Like, it's just how it is.
I mean,
it's hard.
I mean, that's like a different level, because I think it's ridiculous in Dallas. It's like drinks start at $20. So like, get out of here.
I gave Courtney her microphone, and she's looking at me like, what am I supposed to say? But you've actually done exactly what I want you to do. So thank you. You're brilliant. Here's the takeaway there.
Did you hear that, Ian?
Here's the takeaway.
Sorry, I was not listening.
He was angry that I didn't say it about him. Here's the takeaway.
Just one time, that's all I'm asking.
Okay. Should first-time home buyers be frustrated? Sure. I would be. Why not? But that doesn't change the situation. And waiting won't change the situation. Complaining won't change the situation. Moving could change your situation, But if you want to be here, I think here's a great place to live. My advice is don't wait for it to get worse. If you lived here 20 years ago, you're already frustrated about how much dinner and drinks cost or a house cost or gasoline, all these things. And I don't see a lot of those things really ever coming back down. Certainly not for any sustained period.
I'm calling on all realtors. No.
I got interviewed on somebody else's show this week, and it was entirely focused on that. And it started because they listened to the show a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, "Oh, y'all, I got to tell y'all this." He's like, "You were hot," and those people that do the show with you, they were really having to calm you down about that. I was like, "Yeah, sometimes I shouldn't be let out on my own." So anyway, yeah, it's happening here already. It's noticeable here already, and I don't think it's going to stop. So if you want to participate in the residential real estate market, build wealth and protect your family and have control over where you live, I say get in the game now. I don't think waiting is going to reward you. Now, if you're not financially ready, then you should wait. But if you can now, waiting for a better financial move, I don't think it's coming.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I'm sitting here thinking it feels like in order to be ready to enter the market, I need to start when I'm like 20 or like 18, when my brain is not like, I'm not even like tracking on that.
Remember when we interviewed Phoenix the intern and we talked about this?
Yes.
I absolutely agree with that. I've also talked on this show many, many times about the fact that if you want your children to own a home in DFW when they're adults, you may consider buying one now. That doesn't mean you're buying and giving a house to your kid. It means you're buying one so that you grow with the market. Maybe you sell it and can contribute for them or help them or in some way, but you're sort of getting into the market you want to be able to be in and have them be in later. I don't know that I would sell, if I didn't have to, sell anything in DFW. I think it's a great investment to own real estate here. I think we talk on the show less than we should about buying that second and third and fourth house. But I think it's a great idea because as expensive as they feel right now, I think in 10 or 20 years, we're going to look back and be making New York and LA and Monaco jokes, and it's not going to be funny.
Let me tell you about DP Lambert and Goosehead Insurance. I reached out to DP recently, and he saved me like a couple of $1,000s over what my insurance was going to go to. It actually ended up getting cheaper insurance than what I was previously paying, but still had all the coverage that I needed. You can reach out to DP. You can see what he can do for you. If you've not shopped your home insurance or your auto insurance recently, absolutely reach out to DP. dp.lambert, Lambert, at goosehead.com. You can call him 214-614-8595. Or as always, just go to toddtramoneyteam.com, click on the radio tab, and you can find all the recommended pros and vendors information right there. I want to switch topics a little bit. I want to talk a little bit here about school vouchers in Texas and the impacts that has on real estate. We can talk about taxes and things like that, but give me some thoughts here on school vouchers in Texas and the impacts that has.
Here we go. Entering the drama box. Okay, listen, there are heated, intense feelings about this issue. My encouragement is to take a deep breath and think about both sides of the argument.
I'm already hot, Todd. I'm already hot.
Here's the thing. I believe there are effective arguments to be made on both sides of this issue. Where I think it's worthy of our discussion is what it can do to the real estate market. So, for example, let's take our local area. Let's take Garland Independent School District as an example. Garland is a choice district. You can apply to almost any campus inside the district, and it's a large district that covers a big geographic area. This has been done for multiple reasons, but it allows parents the opportunity to choose which school their children go to. Now, within one and only one district. It's not a private school. They're all public schools within the district. But if one school has certain attributes or is in a certain geographic area or has a certain makeup, and again, I'm going to be very careful how I say this, but people can make their own choice. It may be size. It may be location. It may be a program offering. It may be a comfort level. It might be the leadership there or whatever it is.
We can do the same thing in Plano.
Yes, not quite as freely as Garland, where everyone has to apply, but there's some movement. And Richardson even allows a little bit of magnet program movement and things like that. The reason I bring up Garland is because that has been a successful version of you can kind of go with your tax dollars to different campuses. Now, in reality, there's no movement of tax dollars because it's the same district. But the enrollment per school is managed through this application and movement process, and it's been somewhat successful. Now, I'm aware that that is not the same thing as I can take my public school tax dollars, tax dollars that were intended for public school, and then go over here to a private institution. The argument for that I've had many clients tell me before is the school where we would otherwise live is not holding up their end of the bargain. It's not safe. They're teaching things that we don't want taught to our kids. You can argue with all that, but that is the argument being made by certain people. And I think it's worthy of at least respecting that idea and that argument to some degree. The counter argument is if we allow families to suck all the funding out of local schools and go elsewhere, then we're going to destroy these local schools. Okay, there are more nuances to these arguments. What I would like to discuss is not which one is right or wrong, because to be honest with you, I think there are merits and flaws in both arguments. You can like or dislike what I have to say. But the reality is, if something like this were passed, and when I say something like this, I mean state legislation that would allow families to take their tax dollars and go to different districts or private schools or whatever, what you would begin to see is a major shift in the residential real estate market. Now, we all know that a lot of times people move to an area because they want their kids to go to a certain school. Well, if you didn't have to move to an area for your kids to go to a certain school, you have the freedom then to potentially purchase a home in a more affordable neighborhood and go to a school in a quote unquote expensive neighborhood. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Like, do you think it's kind of like an equalizer?
I think it could and would be if approved the way it's presented, where it's like kind of carte blanche, like, hey, I paid $12,000 in taxes this year. 5 of that was for schools. I can take my 5 and go over here to such and such private school. If that was the case, I'm going to be very careful how I say this. But for years and years and years, people have moved to Highland Park to get their kids into the schools. But Highland Park has a certain stature, a certain cost of living. But there are some people that have moved to the very edge of Highland Park and rented the thing that they could come most close to affording, and now their kids can go to those schools. And they've treated those schools like a private school.
Yeah.
But they've gotten through it on their tax dollars. And to be honest, they're paying a much smaller portion of the taxes in that area that others are that have big, gorgeous homes. Nothing wrong with that. That's been perfectly legal. There are other places where that area school district is not as highly regarded by that family. Just whatever their criteria are, they're like, I wouldn't want to go there. But because we're going to go to private school, we can live wherever. So we can live in this area that's not as well regarded for its school, its public schools, because we don't care about the schools. Well, if I could do that and take my tax dollars with me, you would see the map shift a bit. And you'd see people that are like, the house there is great. The view there, the safety there is great. It was just the schools I didn't want, but I can go to whatever school I want. So you would see where do people want to live and what happens to the value of the home. Like, for example, would the value of Highland Park homes take a slight hit because the schools weren't as tied to the houses? I don't know, but it certainly could happen in areas like that. And would other areas that are otherwise awesome, but the schools aren't as would their values shoot up because there's way more demand there? And when we see a balancing of things, in theory, why would we not see that?
It is interesting in Dallas, the way how it affects real estate is people allocate their private school money into their home. Like, I mean, it costs $30,000.
The equivalent of that.
Yes.
And as a real estate company, obviously we get calls all the time and it's like, hey, this school's too big. My kid can't be top 10. They can't play sports, blah, blah, blah. So we may go to a private school or move to this other public school. But the other public school, the house we'd have to buy to live there would be so expensive. It's basically like we're paying for private school. So that's what you're saying is It's fairly equivalent dollars. Sometimes it's spent in tuition. Sometimes it's spent in property value and tax payments. But ultimately, families are making the investments in Dallas and areas like it, and Fort Worth and areas like it all the time, just to live where they want to live to get schools. Now, other people don't get to do that. They can't afford to do that. They would like to, but they can't. And that's part of the argument for not sucking the funding out of certain areas.
It is an interesting conversation how it affects real estate, but then it's like you flip the conversation. It's like, how does it affect our schools? Which is not what we're talking about, but
right. And I'm not afraid of the topic. It's just we're not going to solve is this right or wrong, or we're not going to decide anything. So the thought is pay attention to what's happening in our state. If that were to happen, there would probably be a 2 to 10 year period where there's a rebalancing of property values that were historically tied to the schools in the areas. By the way, private schools are full. So you would also see...
It's the Hunger Games out here to get into a private school.
You would also see the cropping up of more and more private schools, and you'd have to be careful with quality and magnet schools and, all sorts of things. So again, we're not afraid to make a political comment, but that's not what this is about. This is about pay attention to the changes that could be coming and what that might do to where you might want to live or the value of your property or a unique opportunity that could provide. Like if you were like, I'm 100% sure that's going to get passed, now would be a great time to move into an area that previously wasn't highly regarded for schools, and you might get a property value bump that could come if that legislation were approved. Anyway, very interesting topic. Certainly one that is being discussed and debated publicly in the state of Texas a lot. And to your point, Courtney, would be highly relevant to the movement of where people live and move and buy and sell in our market. If you are thinking about making a move this year, please don't wait too late. Regardless of which real estate brokerage you're working with, don't wait too late. Start the conversation now. If you don't have a full-time, fully committed, world-class real estate agent or team with a track record of success, reach out to us, toddtremonteteam.com, toddtremonteteam.com, or you can just Google Todd Tremonti. You can also call 214-310-0008, where we guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time. We also guarantee to save you $5,000 throughout the purchase process of buying your home. I want to point you to the website, toddtremonteteam.com. Click the videos tab. Very soon, we're going to have a new video up. We actually did a little short video on our pickleball court that we just had done by goodgaragefloors.com. They came out and did our garages. We showed them the old basketball play area, and they have come out and done an absolutely incredible job of staining and putting the lines in for a pickleball court. You might want basketball or Foursquare or something like that, or just to clean up some concrete or pool decking or something. GoodGarageFloors.com. Awesome job. Wonderful people. Talk to Chris. Tell him Todd Tremonti sent you to GoodGarageFloors.com. If you are thinking about buying or selling this summer, now is the time. If you don't have those conversations in April and give yourself May to make wise choices and be flexible and be patient, then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself in a dead sprint to get things finished by the end of July, and you're going to have to make impulsive, limited decisions with limited options and choices. Don't do that to yourself. If you're thinking about buying or selling or moving or investing before the end of summer, give us a call right now, 214-310-0008. We do guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time. We also guarantee to save you at least $5,000 throughout the purchase process. Go to toddtremonteteam.com. That's toddtremonteteam.com. We'll be glad to walk you through the process. Don't wait too late. Most people do. You cannot start that conversation too early. Welcome back to the show, folks. Glad to have you with us. DFW Real Estate Weekly, talking all things Dallas-Fort Worth real estate. If you haven't checked out the podcast recently, you're missing out because we got some bonus episodes over there, over and above the radio shows that you may have missed. Look for DFW Real Estate Weekly with Todd Tremonti wherever you're checking out podcast. A very long name so that it's easy to find. So wherever you check out podcast, check that out. We've got some bonus episodes there about some relevant stuff going into the summer, market conditions, tips for enjoying your home, increasing your value, buying, selling, all things real estate related around DFW. Now, today's a big day, Ian. I don't know if you knew this. Big day.
I do.
Patrick Glaros.
Well, it's
Shout out.
420. You know what that means, right?
It's Patrick's birthday. That's what that means.
Yeah. That's what else do you think I was talking about?
I couldn't think of anything else. It's actually a couple people's birthday today. But happy birthday, Patrick Glaros. PatrickGlaros.com, where all of your mortgage needs start and get solved and get handled.
Especially on this 420. Happy birthday, Patrick.
Happy birthday,
Happy 420, my friend.
Okay, that got weird.
What?
Hey, listen, if you've got mortgage needs, mortgage financing, buying, if you're thinking about an investment property and you want or need to borrow some money to make that purchase, I want you to reach out to Patrick Glaris. That's what I've been doing for over 20 years. Every single mortgage I've ever had on personal property, I have done with Patrick Glaris. Go to patrickglaros.com. That's Glaros, patrickglaros.com. His team is awesome. You can trust them. Call them first. Feel free to shop around. But you're going to really love what you hear when you talk to Patrick Glaris and his team at patrickglaros.com. NMLS number 308804. I thought you would jump in.
I thought you had it.
I have it. NMLS number 308804.
Yeah. I mean, we can work on it.
If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
Yeah. We'll.
How fast
we'll
can you
work
say
on
stuff?
that. Hey, something I want to give a little bit of a tease about.
Uh-oh.
So almost time where we start raising peanut butter jelly.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Getting close.
Peanut butter jelly.
And this year we're doing it a little earlier. Normally we do it in June.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're not. We realized after a few years of doing this that the time of year they need it the most is in the summer.
Yeah.
So instead of collecting in the summer,
Yeah, we're going to
collect before the summer.
So June is the month where the food banks tell us that they have high demand and least supply. Now, they usually make it through the month. They just have like the shelves are bare at the end. So we have historically collected that same month. We're going to give it a shot this year to collect before that. So the shelves are over full and they can manage June a little bit better.
Seems like that would make sense.
We'll see.
We'll see.
What it comes down to is when people are motivated to help feed their fellow man.
But we do need some help. There'll be opportunities where you can donate either cash that we will use to go and purchase peanut butter and jelly on your behalf, or we'll have ways that you can drop off peanut butter and jelly in either of our locations. There might be one or two other spots that you can drop off to. The more we raise, the more kiddos get fed, and it's a really, really cool thing that we get to do. I forget how many meals we did last year. I mean, it's in the thousands.
Yep.
It's
we usually piggyback and match some of the giving. So I think it was 12,000 meals last year, maybe 30 something thousand. We do a lot of other food stuff through other efforts throughout the year. So sometimes it gets rolled in, but it's a significant contribution. Where could people read a little bit more about that this year, Ian?
On our website, ToddTremontiTeam.com.
They could even get a summer fun guide.
Yes, the summer fun guide. I see what you did there. If you want to get on the wait list, send us a text, 214-310-0008, 214-310-0008. It's going to be a really, really cool summer fun guide this year. Last year, we had a little article in here that was written by master radio producer herself, media marketing director.
What?
The one and the only Courtney Court.
She's
Cleveland.
not smiling right now, people. She's glowing.
Hey, Court, we're going to see if you can remember what you wrote last year.
Oh, gosh.
In the battle boredom section, making the most of the slow summer days at home, you listed...
I know exactly where he's going to go.
7 different things in here.
That's right.
Let's see how many of the 7 you can remember that you said.
Okay, I do remember... Like a key thing of this is getting supplies to be able to like battle boredom, and the theme was balloons.
That's not one of them. What?
And so volleyball with balloons,
balloon volleyball,
tennis balloons,
balloon tennis.
Okay. Dead air.
That's all you had on balloons.
Throwing.
So you move on from balloons.
Bowling.
What type of bowling?
Water bottles.
Water bottle bowling, yeah.
Water bottle bowling.
All right, that's
okay,
3.
was there something with like tape?
No.
String?
No.
Oh, I know. Like a guess thing. Flower petals?
Ooh, quiet flower petals. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've never known.
Was there
loud
something
flower
where
petals.
I put things in a bag and like guess what the items are?
You had mystery socks.
Mystery socks. You
That's
put them
the
in
one.
the socks.
If he was going to ask about one, I knew he was going mystery socks.
You put them.
And then the other 2, we had streamer hallway maze.
Oh, right. That's the tape one I thought.
Oh, okay. It doesn't say tape.
Okay.
And then
Captain
indoor
Technicality.
scavenger hunt.
Which scavenger hunt?
Yeah, indoor.
Indoor. Love
Yeah.
it. My kids will live for one.
Do you know what I did over spring break with the kids that you'll like on the scavenger hunt?
Water
I
bottle.
took them to the
bowling.
dollar store and I gave them 3 categories. So you each get $10.
Okay.
You have to get one delicious thing,
Okay.
one super fun thing, and one thing to share. And you have $10. Now, this was like
My kids would
a
love
Harvard human behavioral psychology research deal.
Yeah.
On what percentage of the budget did they put towards share with others?
Sure. Or like, did they want to pool their money?
It was fun though. They were all over, and of course the dollar store manager people were like, "Y'all need to go to the register." But I was like, "They're not stealing anything. They're with me. This is fine."
We
was fun.
we went
That's
out
cute.
to Nacogdoches a few weeks ago to former team member Davis Shower.
Oh, miss that
Congrats to
guy.
them. We were out there. We rented an Airbnb for a couple of days, and we played a bunch of games because the outside is actively trying to kill me right now.
Yeah.
So we stayed indoors and we played a bunch of games, and we had prize money that the kids were able to win. And then we did something similar. We went to a dollar store,
Love it.
and let the kids run around and pick a bunch of stuff out. And one of the things that I ended up getting that they bought for me, unbeknownst, was a phenomenal Jordan 1 keychain, because I'm big into
Very
shoes.
thoughtful.
And they got me
You
a
know
Jordan
what?
1 keychain.
He needed one more completely unnecessary shoe.
Honestly, that is like, I would have bought that for you. You see it and you're like,
Now,
this,
I love that they know you and that they know what you're into,
Sweet. It's
and they
sweet.
wanted you to have that.
Funny thing is, my wife just got me the actual shoe for my birthday.
How many
does your
pairs are we
closet
up
look
to?
like?
How many pairs of shoes are we up to? When I say we, I mean you.
Let me think. We're going to hazard a guess of around 15, something like that.
15.
15. Okay, it's not as many as I thought.
That's
Usable.
not as many as I
That's
thought.
not as
those are
many
the
as
usable. Those are ones that I can
Do
wear.
you
like.
keep the
Well, how many
boxes?
total
Yeah.
pairs of, let's just say, nice tennis shoes?
Yeah, it's
15 or semi, you would wear
It'll-
them. How many do you have that you're like, I will never wear that? That's a collectible.
just one.
Okay, not as many as I thought. This is healthier than I thought.
But it's because I could easily say like there's a lot of people that wouldn't wear like one of the pairs of shoes that I have, but I wear them.
But you're so
I wanna wear
fancy,
them.
you just wear them. You just
Well, I wanna wear
stomp the ground with them. All right, back to the original point, which was this summer fun guide
Right.
this year is going to be great. So throwback to last year's summer fun guide, which was the first ever. The results were great. We loved it. Courtney and lots of other people contributed really awesome stuff. And the one that's coming together for this year is awesome. You need to get on the wait list right now. Go to ToddTremontiTeam.com. There's a blue bar across the top. You can get on the wait list right now. If you are a past client, friend of the team, you should already be getting one. If you want to make sure you're getting one, also go to ToddTremontiTeam.com. Click on the blue banner at the top and add your name and information to the wait list, and we can send you a digital copy or maybe even a physical copy. You need to check it out. What's maybe one cool thing that's in the new one? Ian?
Sneak peek. David Goss, buyer specialist extraordinaire on our team, put together. He's an avid cyclist, loves going on biking trails, and so he has put together a list of popular biking trails in Dallas. There's in Fort Worth, and there's in Arlington. There may be a couple of other ones in there. It is worth checking out.
And hear me when I tell you, I am not a cyclist, and these bike trails are, I think, the kindest thing that Dallas has done for our city.
Hear her.
They are magic.
I hear it.
The way they thread through the urban
Deep down, I
concrete.
see an agenda here.
It's not an agenda. You
Feels-
should enjoy them.
Feels like it's pointing back
They're
to the voucher
really
conversation.
magic.
Feels like this has vouchers written
Feels
on
like the
Does
agenda is you need to go
My
and get your
taxes.
summer fun guide.
it. There it is.
I'm
There
just
it is.
saying, don't think that this isn't relevant to you because you're not a cyclist.
I hear
you
her
will
saying
really enjoy
use
these.
what your
Yeah.
city provides you. But anyway,
I put
no.
together a staycation one. I think there's one
Listen,
on dancing.
We
There's
live
bunch
in
of
a
stuff.
cool place.
It's the summer fun guide is going to be great.
Just
y'all
go
get
get
your
it.
summer fun guide.
Get it.
ToddTremontiTeam.com. Click the top
Text.
banner. By the way, sidebar admission. I'm the guy that always underutilizes the stuff you're talking about, and then will randomly find myself there and be like, "This is pretty great.
yes.
Who knew this was here?" And the answer is lots of people knew.
I know.
I just hadn't taken advantage of it because my life's very busy and I don't go to parks. And
How often do you get in your pool? You.
hot tub, like as much as possible. I mean, this time of year, twice a week.
But do you ever go swimming?
Not nearly as much as the kids and things, but obviously in the heat of the summer, I'm in there
All right.
at least every 2 weeks, if not once a week. But the hot tub is like when we built it, I'm like this is for me.
Yeah. All
This
right.
is for y'all. But I'll be out around the pool or in it.
I just
More
think-
than a lot of people have a pool to look at. we use the heck out of ours.
Okay.
But yeah, the kids use it way more than me.
We tell you about Republic Title. RepublicTitle.com is where you can go. You can find out all of the services and things that they offer. They are one of the leaders in the title industry. They do such a tremendous job with so many of our clients. Whenever we get to work with Republic Title, I just know it's going to be a smooth transaction. That makes it good for you. That makes it good for you, the client, that knows that they're going to be taken care of. They're not going to have to worry. They're not going to have stress or troubles when it comes to that side of things. They do everything they can to alleviate all of that and make it as smooth and seamless as possible. RepublicTitle.com, that's their website, 972-423-8777. Not sure why you pushed that button.
Didn't mean
because
to.
They're awesome.
I dropped a squishy stress ball on it. Y'all, that one's on me. Let me throw in a little bonus here. If you go to RepublicTitle.com, they've got some really cool calculators on there that can help you before you buy, sell, or refinance, understand escrow fees, closing costs, things like that. RepublicTitle.com. Republic Title is as good as it gets. RepublicTitle.com.
Stump Todd.
Okay, you slipped up a little bit there too, Bucko.
Solar eclipse. Go.
Solar eclipse brought a ton of people to town. Our kids' school and friends lost their ever-loving mind and did an incredible event. But from a local area perspective, how cool is it? How responsive are we when we get to do once-in-a-lifetime things? Just for a second to think about, and my suggestion would be when you get to do, when a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity comes up, take advantage of it. My instinct a lot of time is like, everybody's doing it, so I don't want to do it. But I always have to kind of will myself to like, no, this is something you will never, ever get to do again. These are stories you tell your grandchildren. These are things you get to experience or you don't, and it all comes down to one simple discussion. So when you live in a place like Dallas and this thing is going to like be visible here as well as any other place on the planet, you need to go do that. You need to take pictures. You need to video it. You also need to experience it in real life and not just stare through your phone at things. But all that to say, take advantage of the once-in-a-lifetime experiences and enrich the lives of others with stories and experiences and the relationships that come from that. So that's not my instinct. I have to kind of force myself to do it, but I'm always so glad I did go and do likewise.
There was people in the office that was like, I don't really get what the big deal is. And I'm like, this thing isn't going to happen again, depending on what you read, until either like 2256 or I saw somewhere 2317.
If I'm being honest, I'm that person there that's like, okay, it's kind of cool like, for a few minutes.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I'm not like NASA space obsessed, but every time something like that happens, you have that like full body like, okay, this is pretty cool. I mean, this is something that's just like the world is bigger than me. I'm not in control.
Well, and
this
multiple generations can go without getting
Yeah.
to see that. Like, that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
We were actually on the golf course in a tournament when it happened. So that was pretty sweet too, to be playing golf and kind of go through the whole thing.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
All right. Let me tell you about recruiting. We want to recruit. We want to bring on folks. We have such huge opportunity for 2 to 4 people here in Fort Worth and on the Dallas side of things, where we have the leads, we have the training, we have the ways to equip you if you are wanting to be a full-time real estate professional.
Let me interrupt you so that you can tell people this, because you're so intimately involved in the way we mentor and equip people. I don't like the word recruiting because who cares? But what you said was great. We have such an opportunity.
Yep.
If you're thinking about getting your real estate license, or let's just say you've gotten it in the last year and you're not thrilled with your opportunity, talk a little bit more about the mentorship or what really is that opportunity. Because people could go to 100 brokerages and get a quote job, but what's different and what's the relational transformational growth opportunity?
Yeah. So let me take you back. Like when I was in the police before I came here, right? And you go through the police academy, and then you have field training that takes place before you can ever be by yourself, because that's when you're really learning the stuff that you need to know. We've tried to do a similar model here where, you can go and get your real estate license, but before we ever allow somebody to work directly with a client, we have a 6-week onboarding training program that I'm primarily leading and heading up, where every day we're going to spend time with you, teaching you the ins and outs of the way that we approach real estate. We have online training modules. We have books that you're going to read. We have ways that we're going to try and test you and figure out But there's also all these other people on the team. Like there's Gibson and Grady, who are, some of our newer agents. And then you've got people that have been here, as long as I have or a little bit longer, and John and David. And there's other folks as well that we've talked about, Robert and Jeremy and Mari, and the list goes on. But like they partner with you as a new agent to help guide and direct and like show you how to do things.
Let me jump in and emphasize even more so the two separate things you're saying. One is the technical learning, skill set, systems, process stuff, and that's more kind of that police academy like. These are the essential training items. You just have to have this before you're ready to go.
Right.
The other is the never ending for the rest of your career here with us on our team. And one of our company core values is to build relationships that your grandchildren will be proud of, that you'll be proud to tell your grandchildren about. And so that idea represents the mentorship and the relational connection and the shadowing and the nonstop pursuit of growth, personally and professionally, that is the core value of our team and that is lived out every single day after that first 6 weeks. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate and all you've really thought about is, I'd like to sell some houses and make some money, we may not be a great fit for you. But if you've thought, I would like to sell some houses, I really think I would serve people well, I like the parts that I know about it, and I would like to learn more about it, and I don't want to do that part-time, and I don't want to wing it, and I want to do better than what others have done for me. If that's your motivation, then we very well might be a great fit for you. And you should go to toddtremonti.team.com, or you can call or text 214-310-0008. 214-310-0008. If you just text, I'd like to talk about the team or questions about the team, we'll get back to you very, very quickly and see if it's a fit. We go through assessments and interviews and some shadowing and all sorts of things. We're very, very careful to make sure that it's fit because we have such an incredible team. We don't want to put that at threat by simply just hiring a bunch of people. We're looking for 2 to 4 people in our Richardson office and our Fort Worth office total. And we would love to go have a ton of impact together. So go to toddtremonti.team.com if that's of interest to you.
If you have not checked on your home valuation recently, you can do so in less than a minute. Just go to toddtremonti.team.com, click on the home valuation tab, and that's where you're going to go. You're going to find in less than a minute, you'll be able to see what your home would sell for. It's going to give you some information on your home equity. It's going to see it updating on a monthly basis. You're going to be able to get info on cash offers if you're thinking about that. toddtremonti.team.com and click on the home valuation tab. Courtney, are you ready to learn some real estate?
I'm ready.
This next segment is called Courtney Learns Real Estate.
Here's my question for you, Court.
Okay.
Can you pull out of a contract?
What? I actually really want to know the answer to this because,
Well, I'm asking you for the answer.
She doesn't know it.
Can't I pull out of anything in my life? My mantra is course correct. Nothing you can.
Can you pull out of a contract?
We're going to court.
Can you pull out of a contract?
Yes or no?
what
Yes or no?
Yes or no answer.
Yes or no?
I mean, I can do whatever I want.
The answer is neither. So contracts determine all this, correct?
Correct.
So in the state of Texas, we have standardized contracts for the most part. And licensed real estate agents, members of associations are basically required to use certain forms. Nearly all of those include a unrestricted right to terminate. Doesn't mean everybody automatically gets that.
You have to pay
but
for it.
That is an option. It's literally referred to as the option period by most people. If that is utilized, then somebody would have an unrestricted right to terminate only for a certain amount of time and for a certain amount of compensation.
I've seen that as short as 3 days and as long as 12 days or 14 days.
I've done 1 day and I've seen years on bigger transactions, but on a traditional, normal home residential contract, Ian's right. Usually a week or less. Can be a little bit longer depending on the market conditions, and it's usually a nominal amount of money. After that, though, there are still some ways you could get out of a contract, but it's going to be determined by that written agreement, which points to how important it is to get that written agreement right up front.
There's certain documents that have to get turned in within a certain amount of time, or else that opens up a door to be able to get out of a contract if you no longer want it to be, and it was past that option period. There's multiple different minutia that goes into it, and it's also why you want to make sure you have an agent,
a great agent,
really knows the ins and outs of a contract, what that means, what each of these sections mean, Like, it's so important to have somebody that is a professional that fully understands.
All these crazy headlines right now about realtors' fees and whether you need one and what's going to happen to buyer's agents. This will be one of the first things that gets sacrificed is people that will lose their outs or they won't understand what they're liable for. And they'll do what you just said, which is like, if I want out, I'm out, do what I want kind of deal, right?
Unfortunately, that's not how contracts work.
But that is the attitude of a lot of buyers is like, okay, and they'll say things like, fine, you can keep my earnest money.
Yeah,
well, that's
what I
not
thought.
actually what the contract says. The contract says that's the first thing that happens. And then you absolutely can be liable for the full value of the transaction, if not more, because you failed to perform what you agreed to perform.
You can end up in court.
Most people
you can
just
get all that.
assume like, no one's ever going to go to court over this. But they absolutely could. And by the standards of the contract, if written poorly, they would have a absolutely simple, easy, open and shut case. You agreed to this. You didn't do it. You're liable for the full price of the house and court fees and attorney fees and damages. I mean,
and if people begin not using agents and people begin thinking that we no longer have to do it this way, you're going to see that happening more and more.
all the time, because everyone assumes what you just said. Oh, I'll just give you my earnest money, because they think they know what they're doing, and they don't. And sadly, most agents don't. And that's how we got into the situation where people are angry at agents. We don't have time to discuss all that. But here's the thing. If you are looking for a full-time, world-class, fully dedicated real estate professional who specializes in certain areas of the business, buyers or sellers or homes on land or desirable neighborhoods or Fort Worth side or Dallas side, the Todd Tremonti team was built for you, was built for the DFW market only, for specialized agents who work full-time with the support of staff and technology and leadership and all the mentoring that Ian was talking about earlier. If you are ready for a world-class professional to help you buy, sell, invest, or just begin the conversation about a future transaction, reach out to us today. ToddTremontiTeam.com. ToddTremontiTeam.com. 214-310-0008, or you can just Google my name, Todd Tremonti, spell it as best you can. You will find us. You can call, you can text, you can fill out any form on the website, and we would be thrilled to add value in your life, whether you're buying or selling right now or preparing for the future.